Today, because it's Spontaneity Month, I did not write a talk. This could be good for you or not so good. We'll see what happens. I'm going to do something different today. Something I've done before, but I haven't done it since I left NoHo, to tell you the truth. But I do want to talk about something that happened in Missouri. So we were in Missouri, and Dr. Lori is always, stalking me throughout the week for a talk title. And so when she was sitting there, she said, I need your talk title. We can't just go home and give it to me on Saturday because I have to do it anyway. And I said, you know what my talk title is? Here's my talk title. Hit it, Thor. So my talk title is Why the Face? And here's a funny story about that. When I first heard WTF, first of all, I didn't know what all these initials were about. I had a friend at the time, she has since passed, who would constantly write me emails that said, blah, 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 lol. I was like, what the hell is lol? She keeps writing lol. And it wasn't until I went to Atlantic City and met with her, we went out and played the slots. I was like, Joanne, why do you keep writing lol? And she goes, are you serious? I was like, yeah, you write me things and then write lol. She goes, it means laugh out loud, right? So I heard this story when I was in Kansas about this woman. She was probably in her 80s, and her sister died, and her sister passed away. And so she wrote to her sister's children, and she wrote to them and said, I'm really sorry that your mother has passed away, LOL. Right? Lots of love is what she thought. And so her niece called her back and said, you can't write that someone has died, LOL. And she goes, well, it's lots of love. She goes, no, it's laugh out loud. And she went, oh. I was watching A Modern Family when I saw this, and Cam said, WTF. And who's the other guy? Cam and Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Mitchell. And he went, you can't say that. Do you know what that means? He goes, yeah, why the face? He said, that's what all my students tell me it means. Because yeah. So, but the funny part was, I only remembered why the face, so I started using it. Until Will said to me, Dad, you really are not using that correctly. It's not why the face, it's what the face. Yeah. So that's how I wanted to start today's talk, with the idea that we live in a world of these little, what are they called? Acronyms. See, I told you this is going to be a really interesting talk. In this world of acronyms where it could mean one thing, but it might mean something else. We are in a communicative world where we're not always saying what we mean, and we're allowing our texts to speak for us. A text can never tell you what someone's feeling. It's just words, and they may not be written the same way. They mean it. Email's the same thing. So for those of you that don't seem to know how to pick up a phone and call the other person, maybe we want to do that in a world where we're trying to communicate more, to connect more to one another. Right, Tiffany? Yeah. Like, for instance, Tiffany has a signature at the end of her emails that when she sent me the first email I ever got from her, I was insulted. Because it was this really sweet email, and then she went, best, Tiffany. I was like, best? Who writes best? I do. But when you send me an email, it says best, Tiffany, and then at the bottom it says, I love you very much, or something. Yeah. But we really have to look at that about words, because they mean different things to different people. This philosophy means different things to different people. So, here's what we're doing today. I have 3 books up here. I have The Science of Mind, 1,050 pages of this, and I can bend over. And I have the Everything Answer book by Amit Goswami. This is quantum metaphysics. And I have Spiritual Economics by Eric Butterworth. So really, I have 3 of my teachers up here. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to decide what we're talking about today, because you're going to pick a book, then you're going to pick a chapter, and then you're going to pick a page number. I don't know what's in there. nothing up my sleeves. I don't know what you're going to pick. So who would like to pick the first book? Dave. Okay, Dave, I saw your hand first. Which book? Spiritual Economics. Okay. Chapter. Oh. Could you? I'll do it. Hold 1 second. Of course, my glasses. You'd like me to actually read these things. Otherwise, I could just make it up. Okay. Okay, go ahead. Chapter, pick a number. Chapter 3, the law of visualization. Okay, Dave, pick a page. Oh, wait, no, you can't pick a chapter in a page. So you have to pick a number between 13 and 33. 33. Okay. 30 and 30, it's up to 32. Do you want 32? Okay. There's only one paragraph on this page, so I'm going to read it. You all ready? Yeah. Take a deep breath. Make a deeply rooted commitment that you will practice the presence of God's substance, ever reminding yourself that you are in the presence of an infinite, eternal substance from which all things proceed. Let me just read that last sentence. You are in the presence, we of course would say you are of the presence now, of an infinite, eternal substance from which all things proceed. Resolve that you will live and think and work as if you really believed that the whole universe of creativity and substance were present in every project of your work and every transaction of your investments. How's that sound? And your never failing resource. Practice the presence of God's substance with diligence and persistence, and you will begin to realize prosperity. You all know who Eric Butterworth is, yes? One of the greatest teachers of the Fillmores, the Unity philosophy, which is interesting that you picked that since we just came back from Unity Village. This quote, it's funny because Eric Butterworth, I was his student back in the 1980s. Really? Was that you, Judd? Did you go, wow? Yeah. Back in the 1980s, I was a student of Eric Butterworth's. And we went away on a retreat in Pennsylvania. And I didn't know him before the retreat because I was just in his classes, but his classes were like 100 and some odd people at Avery Fisher Hall every week. And I didn't really get to know him. But when we went on the retreat, somehow I got, they doubled people up. And somehow I got doubled up with Eric for this one workshop. And the workshop was, you're going to love this, the workshop was a silent workshop. Yeah, they gave you the theme and what was to be discussed mentally, but no words. So I actually sat with Dr. Eric Butterworth on the grounds. We all left the room in Pennsylvania and sat on the grounds. And I sat with him, and all he did was stare at me. Now, there's nothing like staring at someone that you consider a mentor. He was on a huge podium for me at that time. Major. And he just sat there staring at me and smiling. And honestly, I was so uncomfortable. I don't know that I thought of anything other than the fact that I was very uncomfortable. But I just sat there, and he's looking, he's smiling. And then every now and then he would just go. And I probably went. And that's all we did. But can I tell you what happened after that? So after that, we all got back in the room, and everybody was supposed to explain, just talk about what they got. And Eric, I'll never forget this. Eric said, well, I was with Jim Mellon, because that was my name at the time. I used Jim as my actor name. I was with Jim Mellon. He said, and the thing was about prosperity, by the way. He said, and all I kept thinking was, this young man has everything. That's all he said. I was like, wow, okay, this young man has everything. I didn't feel as though I had everything at all. In fact, I felt, I was an actor in New York City, and I was in between shows, and actors, as soon as they close one show, they're never going to work again. So I was like, I hadn't met Kevin yet. So my life was a bit of a shambles. And when he said, this man, Jim Mellon, all I could see was he has everything. I think that was the beginning of this, to really start to understand that I was God. I never even thought about that till just now, so thank you, Dave, that I could trace I am God back to that moment. I didn't know it. I didn't have the right words for it. But in this paragraph, he's talking about make a deeply rooted commitment that you will practice the presence of God's substance, reminding yourself that you are the presence of the infinite. That's what we do here. That's what we teach in religious science. That's what we teach in religious science. I also had quite an awakening at Unity Village this week because there were many, many speakers that got up and spoke. I think one spoke from the I am. Every other speaker had a dualistic version of what the metaphysical New Thought teachings are, which was difficult for my class, for my group of people, because we're all the, I am God, and so are you. And people are like, what? And it was interesting to be in that moment. But there it is right there. I think Eric got it. The great teachers got it. Jesus got it. Jesus understood it. I and the Father are one. The greater things will you do as soon as you remember who you are. He didn't say it that way, but that's how I take it. So really, for me, if this is going to be about prosperity, and he's right, the only way prosperity manifests in your life is when you remember who you are and get it. You already are prosperity. You are just allowing out only the degree to which you're accepting it. So your prosperity is linked completely to who you are. And the more you get that you are the allness of life, you are the infinite prosperity of life, the more you get that, the more it funnels through you, the more you open the floodgates of being prosperous. Make sense? Yes. Thank you for that, Dave. I'm so glad that you went right to there, because I had totally forgotten about that. You know, another story, funny story too. A few years later, I went to Los Angeles to do a show that I'd written, and I found David Walker. And one day, I was about to go on stage to sing for him, and he came up to me and he went, you have it all. Looks, talent, you have everything. I was like, oh, I felt so great about that till I went into practitioner class and realized he said it to everybody because he really believed it. That was his thing. You have everything. You are just like Eric Butterworth. And at the time, in Los Angeles, at the Los Angeles Church of Religious Science, I took it as a compliment, not as a truth. There's a big difference between taking a compliment and a truth. The compliment can wear thin and go away when I do something else. Like when I showed up in a t-shirt and jeans one Sunday, and Dr. Walker came running up to me saying, I need a singer. My singer's sick. Can you sing today? And then he stepped back and he went, unless I find another singer who's dressed better. Literally, that's Dr. Walker. Okay, who else wants to ask a question? Okay, Scott. Of course. Okay, the Everything Answer book. Hold on. Give me a chapter. Chapter 6. Does he even have this in chapters? I don't think he has this in chapter. Oh, he does. Okay, and give me a page between 79 and 95. 85. Ooh. There's only one paragraph on this page, too. Well, what this page is about, because there's a huge symbol on it, it's about the quantum collapse, collapsing energy into manifestation. So I'll read you what it says. Part of this idea is often left covert, but it still may be the beginning of an exploration of love, because the intuition generates an additional gut feeling that there is something here on which you should follow through. So, what Amit Goswami is talking about is consciousness, the collapse of consciousness. You can blame Scott Gibb for this section of today's service. But it's actually very simple. So, in the quantum physics world, in the quantum metaphysics world, we are all consciousness. Everybody good with that? That's all we are. We are all consciousness. Yeah, everybody? Anybody have a problem understanding that? There's energy. There's this energetic field that we are, and it's called consciousness. It's who we are. It's what we are. It's how we operate. In science of mind, there's that big, how many of you, raise your hand if you've ever had to be in class and deal with the big circle? Okay. So the circle that I don't really get involved in anymore, but Tiffany's teaching next week, apparently, this week. No, there's no chocolate chip cookie. There's just a circle. And it means there's 3 quadrants. Conscious mind, subjective mind, and what's left? Form. And so we teach the way the mind works, that you get an idea in conscious mind. That idea, backed by your beliefs, drops into that law. You know the law of cause and effect, right? Just drops into the energetic field of the law, and the law says what? Yes. That's all it says. Good answer. That's all it says. It says yes. It's an impersonal law. So whatever you're thinking comes from conscious mind. Well, no. Whatever you allow through you to think comes from conscious mind, drops into the law, and the universe says yes. So every time you think to yourself, I'm really not a good person, the universe says, yes. I am so poor, I have no money. Yes. I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Yes. Conversely, I am the prosperity of the universe. Yes. It's louder when you say the right things. No, because it's impersonal. So that law is always saying yes, to matter what's going through you. In quantum physics, that's called quantum collapse, meaning energy collapses when it goes through the law into form. It's as simple as that. Did I make it simple? It's pretty easy, right? So it's collapse. So you are collapsing ideas every single moment. As you are thinking, you're collapsing ideas. And the universe says yes, and there they show up. So you want to know how to be happier? Collapse happier ideas. You want to know how to be wealthier? Collapse more prosperity concepts and truths. Right? You want love in your life? How many people here are still looking for a soulmate right now? Well, okay, the rest of you are all coupled up or have decided I'm done. Either way. But you want more love in your life? You want to find that relationship? I'll tell you. So after that retreat, I decided to spend a year not dating, which for me was ridiculous because I always had options constantly. I mean, I had 2 or 3 at a time because I wasn't sure on both sides of the aisle. I decided not to date for a year after that retreat, because I didn't have it all. And I spent a year cleaning up my act. And at the end of that year, that was in July, at the end of that year, a year later, as the summer came, I got 4 jobs back to back. They were going to be back to back. Amazing jobs, like starring in a new musical written by the woman that wrote Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, playing Candide in Candide, starring in Carnival, a role I always wanted to do. What was the 4th one? Oh, and then playing Jesus again in Jesus Christ Superstar. So I had all these jobs lined up. I went to my first one. Was that the first one? No, the first one was Are We There Yet in Williamstown. The second one was Candide, and I met Kevin. I stopped dating for a year, and at the end of that year, I met Kevin, who was married at the moment and to a woman, and I thought to myself, this doesn't work. I spend a whole year clearing out the passages, getting clean, and I fall in love with a married man. How awful is that? But obviously he felt that he needed to make a change in his life. That's a whole different show. I'll write it for you later. So this idea of quantum collapse, if I put it back to what Eric Butterworth was saying, is literally you are this infinite field of quantum energy and love. So start collapsing it the way you want to live it. It's that simple. It really is that simple. Okay, who else would like to ask a question? I'm watching my time. Jim. A book? Which book? Science of Mind? Okay. 777? Oh, there are. You know the paragraph. Are you setting me up? Wait, no, that you can't use that one because that's just the concordance. So you have to go before. You can go up to like 600 and something. You can go up to 635. 635, yeah. No, you can go up to 600. 523? One, two, three, or four? Two. Well, okay. No, it's good. These are meditations for self-help. And this one is on your business. So we're getting a lot about finances here today. My business. My business is directed by divine intelligence. There's something for all of you. The all-knowing mind that knows what to do and how to do it. I do not hinder, but let it operate in my affairs. It prospers and directs me and controls my life. My affairs are managed by love and directed by wisdom, and they cannot fail to prosper and expand my life. Dr. Ernest Holmes. So it's almost like every single one of these just did the same thing in terms of my business is directed by divine intelligence. I think one of the problems we have in religious science, really in New Thought in totality, is that we actually think we need to take this information and then make it work, right? We think we have to learn things. We have to go to this workshop, that workshop. We have to spend this time reading this 10 ways to do this, 5 ways to do that. The 5 questions, that one works. But we think we have to do all this stuff, go on retreats, join groups. And they're all good. A lot of those things are great, but they're not the answer. What they are is stimulation to bring forth where the answers are coming from, right? That's what it's all about. And the idea that business and that meditation is all about my business, my life, what I'm doing. If there's anybody sitting here today not sure what their life is going to be, or not sure where they want to go, or not sure what that famous word these days, purpose, is in life, purpose is not something we have to figure out. Purpose is something we have to be willing to hear, to listen to be a part of the flow that's coming through us. There was one speaker this week that really blew my mind. 2 speakers, really. It was Jamaican ministers, the spiritual director and her staff minister, brand new minister. He was like 28 years old, beautiful young man. And they got up and did a presentation about the world. And this 28-year-old Jamaican man has a job at the United Nations. And it was all about the world we live in and the things that we need to do for our world. But how they posed it, did not feel political in any way. And there was another person that says, I am political, but not partisan. And this was a spiritual leader from CSL who said, of course we're political. Do you drive to a stop sign and stop? You've just dealt with politics. The red light is politics. The green light is politics. The way our world is crafted is politics. So of course I am political, but I don't need to be partisan. And so these two got up and talked about all the things that their church, that their organization is doing in the world. And I got to tell you, I don't think there was a person in that room that didn't want to jump up and join their cause. Right, Tiff? It was right, Kirby? We just all wanted, Karen, we just wanted, Brad? Wasn't that like amazing? We just wanted to be a part of what they were doing. And I have come back from Missouri with a real sense of it is time for me to make sure that what we do here, everybody wants to be a part of. And it's not just about us. I remember when I first came to this community And the first business meeting we had where we were thinking of putting NoHo and Westlake together, and I was put on stage to be grilled by everybody. It was a tough night. How many of you were there for that night? Yeah. So, and somebody came up to the microphone and said, this thing of yours about, global and out in the world, I'm only interested and I only care about what happens in this room with these people. Do you remember what my answer was? My answer was, then this might not be the church for you. Because I'm not just interested in us, because I get it. I get the concept of entanglement. I get the concept of prosperity. I get the concept of my life, my business, my church, my world, my theater career. All of it is all one thing, and it's all God expressing. And if I let God express through my business, if I let God express through my career, if I let God express through my prosperity, and I'm saying God because I know God is the quantum field of creativity. If I let God express through all of those things, they're all going to be awesome. And if I get in the way and start saying, yeah, but you got to do it this way, I need to do this, this is what I need. Now I'm kind of putting the variables in, and I am collapsing not the pure perfection that God is, I am collapsing the pure perfection that God is, and all of the thoughts and ideas, all of the reflective and relative world of thoughts and ideas into it. And it becomes muddy. So, all three books asked us today to get in touch with that pure thing. And what is spontaneity but that? Spontaneity is an idea, an intuitive idea, something that's coming through you that's ready, saying, try this, go there, do that. You don't know what's going to happen. But we're so quick to say, that's not me. I don't do that. No, this doesn't work for me. I think we need to all start really saying yes more. Really being yes people, saying, yes, I'll try that. I'll do this. All of it. I'll do this. I'll do Doug's like, still not doing it. I do. So I want to say thank you to all of you for asking, for participating. Was it 3 men that asked? Okay, I'll do one more really quick. Some woman. Some woman. Raise your hand. Really, Steve? Okay, Glenda. Which book? Got it? Page? Just give me a page. 98. Risk-taking is liberating because, in a sense, it is the quantum self operating through you. So, thank you, Glenda. So, let's all, in this month of spontaneity, take freaking risks and go out there and live your life to the fullest. Namaste. That was fun. Thank you, thank you.